on and your mic is on.
All right, good to go. Call to order. Give it on. Okay.
Do we have a forum?
So we're just gonna go with the shepherd.
So attendance against you listed in the meeting.
The special guest star,
Special guest
me.
Special guest star.
Heather.
Thank you. All right, Heather, take it away.
Okay, it's relatively short this month, primarily because the auditors have been relentless, starting in the middle of this month. So we've been focusing primarily on that, but I did update the key numbers that we tend to look at. You can see that both plumbing and building permits are only at about 30% of where we were a year ago and only about 30% of budget. You know, we can't necessarily always forecast what's happening, and I don't know if, you know, there's certainly some projects that don't seem to be happening as quickly as we thought they might. So, so that's looking a little light. In terms of parking revenue, you can see we're pretty much right where we want to be versus budget at 50%. We're a little low on the parking ticket front, but making up for it on and off-street parking, which is at 54%. So those numbers look pretty nice. We don't have much new in the next section. I do know that we were about to get the sales tax from the county, and I have been told that it was a strong quarter for sales tax. So I'm expecting that number to be pretty nice, but I don't actually have it for today. Lodging tax, you can see that we're sort of right where we want to be through June. But I will note that due to the efforts of Michelle and Peyton, some portion of that is actually retroactive stuff. So that's going to be more like a one-time catch-up thing. So it will be interesting to see how the rest of the year pans out in terms of whether it keeps that flow or whether we just we did see a pop at the end of 2025. And we did see a pop obviously in the first, 3 to 6 months of 2026. So we'll keep an eye on that obviously each month to see how the rest of it looks. Nothing new on cannabis, nothing new on mortgage tax. I imagine we'll get the cannabis one relatively soon. Probably it should be roughly the same time as the sales tax contribution. But I know that the county has been challenged in the past in getting the distribution information they need from the state in order to know how to distribute the money. Because unlike the sales tax, which is like a set formula, basically, the adult use cannabis taxes is actually dependent on where the dispensaries are. So I think that takes a little more working. Any question on any of those numbers before I go forward? Okay, as I mentioned at the start of this, the 2025 audit is currently underway.
I have one question. I think I know the answer. The sales tax, that has seasonality to it, right?
Yes,
So, that 400 might be perfectly good in the.
Yes.
The fourth quarter.
Yes. The first quarter is always the lowest. So I think I looked at it, I think I looked at it last month.
Right, that's right.
It was pretty much right in line with our projections. So yeah, I'm feeling okay about that. The audit is just, they are literally relentless. It's like hundreds of emails asking for hundreds of pieces of data and hundreds of vouchers and hundreds of invoices and hundreds of copies of contracts. And well, not hundreds of copies of contracts. We don't have hundreds, but yeah, it's a lot. Our goal is to complete all three because we have to do our regular one, and then we're going to have to do a single federal audit because we spent more than $1 million in federal funds, primarily on Third Street Bridge, but some other things as well. And then we have to do a single DOT audit, which I think the threshold for that one is either $750,000 or $1 million. But then also because of Ferry Street Bridge and all the CHIPS money and STR money is probably going to require one of those. The federal audit deadline is the soonest one at 9:30, so the goal is to have it completed by then. I did meet with the auditors for an overall project check yesterday, and they seem to think that we should be able to stay on time with that. So that will be good, and then obviously that will give us, you know, a solid number for 25, to see how close the AFR came to it, and give us some information for going into the budgeting.
Excuse me, you have something I can follow?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm late.
No. And if you read through the beginning, if you have any questions, no, but if you have any questions, no worries, just ask.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, update on the foreclosure proceedings. We did get the title searches complete. I did set a final list to the attorney. He's on vacation this week, but he's having the materials prepared to start next week. We have to file both the list and petition for a closure with the county clerk. I believe that the law requires that the city attorney and my office have a copy of that list at all times, so we'll make sure that happens. There's public and private notice requirements, so we have to publish, you know, in X amount of papers, like I think twice a week for 3 weeks or something like that. And then obviously the private notice requirements, which is a notification by first class mail and certified mail to not just the property owner, but anyone else identified through the title search that might have an interest in the property. So that's all gonna be kicking off basically next week. We're anticipating approximately 4 months for all of that to be completed. So we're looking at probably, you know, November, December. If it's December, we might wait till January just because, but we'll see. The only thing, aside from moving forward on the actual process, the other noticeable thing is that one of the really big ones came off the list last week, which is 448 Warren Street, which is the big church next to Novita. Paid in full in cash.
Wow.
So
That was a large, that was the
it
largest.
was one of the largest, yeah.
That's right.
Congratulations.
That's perfect.
So yeah, so that was good news. It was,
Any of the big ones still open?
oh yeah. All the other ones are still on. That's the only one that's come off, you know, the last.
And of the 21 remaining, like, how many are very low dollars?
Say that?
Of the remaining 21, how many are low dollar?
What's low?
Like less than 10,000?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would guess maybe 6 to 8 of them. There's one that only owes like a few $100s, but we have literally gone far beyond what we are required to try and track this person down, even to the point of I reached out since the mayor's aide has been a resident here all her life. I even reached out to her and said, do you know this person? Do you know how to get hold of him? She tried sending him an email. She tried calling his cell phone number, which she had from back in the day. So, I mean, we're not, so I feel bad, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Is that a person who didn't pay like 1 year, but has then been paying going forward?
I would have to look.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
There's no way to see, have someone physically go to the address to see if he's there?
All the mail has been sent to that address and none of it
No.
has been replied to, so.
I know, but I mean, because he passed away, I'm not gonna say, no, I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
My sense is that the address on which he's paying his taxes is not Reader's.
So a scenario is you're late and you pay what was on the bill. You don't pay the late fee and then you forget about that and you pay and then you end up with this little thing that's out there.
I mean, hopefully because, and again, all of the communication that we've sent out have kind of been like, I won't say friendly, but they're not even required by law. It's us trying to help people and give them notices. With the actual required private notice requirements, as I mentioned, it does require not just first class mail, but a certified mail.
Yes.
So if the certified mail doesn't make it through, then yeah.
Okay, that's good progress.
Say this is good news.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm not sure what's going on with the sale of 98 Powder Place. I got to check with the MD. We had a date, but I don't think that we actually progressed with it, so I will report back next month on that. But obviously we would like to get that off of our plate. It's not, as we all know, it's no longer a revenue generator. We're not allowed to keep any surplus monies aside from what it costs us to, you know, to go through the process, so. There's not, the only, I guess the only other thing that is of note on this are two things. One is, if you remember, there was a big brouhaha you did from some constituents about Airbnb charging the county lodging tax within the city limits. They have finally rectified that as of July 1st. And we have been told that they, Airbnb, will take the proactive responsibility to reimburse anybody that paid that tax erroneously. So neither the county nor the city has to be involved in that, which is good because I do not know how we would have figured that out.
Yeah, it's good. That's great.
And then the two policy things is thank you for getting something. I appreciate it.
Before you go away,
Oh, I
the
guess,
safe voters, the last vote. Oakdale Park.
Yeah.
What's this about?
two different things, Oakdale Park and Charles Williams Park. So let's go with the latter one first. That's more of a bookkeeping issue, but with some, we're just trying to figure out from a legal standpoint, how to make sure it goes smoothly. I get these entities confused, but Spark has a sub entity, and I can't remember what the name of it is, and I can't remember what it is, but basically, several years ago, they said, we're gonna put X amount of money into Charles Williams Park. They gave us upfront a certain amount of money. Out of that money, only a certain amount of it was spent, so the rest has just been carried over year after year after year. It sounds like they're setting up some other sort of, they're getting, I think, the CLC involved now. And CLC, I think, is gonna be like working on project managing whatever they do at Charles Williams Park. So the question is, how do we get that remaining money from the city to CLC in a way that's legal and clear?
I thought Spark had pulled out of continuing to support it.
Well, I don't, my sense is they're pulling out of the project potentially, but they're not asking for this money back.
No.
That, but I'm 2 steps removed, so that's my theory.
So,
The Oakdale thing is a different issue. The Oakdale thing was, I've been having conversations with the people involved in that, in terms of them looking for a cash flow interfund loan or a loan to the project. But I actually reached out to them either the end of last week and said, basically, I don't think that we can do that. They're looking for a float of about $700,000. And right now we are actually quite cash challenge.
they're looking for that from the city.
Yeah, as a loan for cash flow.
No.
Yeah, and between a variety of different things, we don't have as much cash on hand as we have in the past, which has been challenging. And part of the reason for that, I mean, obviously not collecting taxes is having as much outstanding tax receivable is part of the issue. But also, in flusher times, we were able to provide interfund loans to quite a number of capital projects. And at this point, I think we have about $1.9 million in interfund loans. About $500,000 of that is to the sidewalk improvement district, and the rest are these various capital projects because we need cash flow for those, because almost everything is based on a reimbursable thing. So you have to incur the expenses. It's getting very challenging to keep those in place. So, my understanding is the Oakdale Park one, it might have been delayed anyway. It's been pushed back, I think, because of permitting, so it might work out okay because the other alternative for either that project or any capital project within the city would be handling it the same way that we've done with the DRI and the Berry Street Bridge, which is these short-term borrowings so that we have enough cash so that we can loan it to the capital project. So, but yeah, and that gets down to this interfund loan, so I can talk about it, at tonight's meeting, but basically I know that we have an annual debt service of about $167,000 due on August 1st out of the sewer fund every year, generally not a problem. I went in to go put in the wire transfer, the EFT to pay off the thing, and realized that the sewer fund only had about $177,000 in cash. So that's a problem because there's also, payroll and hospitalization and vouchers and expenses that all also have to be paid. So, so this is a last minute resolution, which I went through with Margaret already. But honestly, it's for $100,000 and it probably should be more. But where we are right now with general fund cash is just, we've got payroll in those funds as well. And
What's our phone balance, Judge?
That's not a number that I can just track throughout the middle of the year, but, last we looked, it was 1.6, 1.4, something like that.
So we've done a number of things, budget, amendments, for taking money out of the fund balance in the last month or so. Would it be just a case of taking that 1.6 and subtracting those numbers that were associated with the budget values? Sorry, because I have my hearing aids in, I sound like I'm talking loud. Could we just subtract from the 1.6 the dollar amount of the budget amendments that we've done and get a sense of?
I mean, you can do that, but that's not necessarily going to end up being what it is at the end of the year, because at the end of the year, it really depends on, did your revenues come in? Did you hit your full expenditures or not? That's what actually impacts them. And it's like people talk, when people have been looking at the past budgets and talking about all of the years that we've used fund balance to balance the budget. Well, yes, we did that as a budgetary tool, but up until 2024, we didn't actually use any of that fund balance because our revenues came in higher and expenditures came in lower. So it was.
So by the end of the year, you weren't so low, you were. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
So,
I understand.
but I don't think your point is, you may not be able to get to an accurate number, but I do think that your point is well taken, that we should be aware of what we are committing to, that's outside and above what was originally in the initial budget, because unless other things happen to
the
them, right, exactly,
Going to have a deficit. Oh, it's not a deficit, but that fund balance will go down.
yes,
So we have to, want to take 30,000 out of the budget and put that into something, then we have to have 30,000 more in revenue that we want, that we didn't. Correct, to balance.
correct, or save $30,000 somehow by not.
So when we have a resolution on the LWRP situation to apply for, which we discussed last week, we had a presentation on that, to apply for a grant to update the LWRP, the new one. And I think that's like a $30,000 commitment on our part. And so I was asking the question, how is this going to benefit the city revenue wise? Well, we did 15 years ago, didn't help us. But everything I've researched is something that we need to do. And we cannot, I looked at it, is there some way that we can get the one that we have through the process, and we cannot. Because it was rejected when it was 5 years old, the state said it was too late. It's not 15 years. So. There we are.
There we are.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Because based upon the budget that we have, covered for 2026, and if we passed it, knowing that it was going to take and the fund balance is going to be taken out there.
Well, we don't know it's gonna take the hit, but we passed it with the assumption that if everything came in as projected, it would take it.
It's still taking a problem there.
Well, to be clear, we didn't pass it, the council rejected.
Fair.
If the DEA, it came into effect after the council rejected it because there was insufficient time on the clock
You're right.
for any process to force the DEA to sharpen their pencils.
Right. You're right.
There's anything else? Rich, on your agenda?
I'm not sure how that works because it's never worked.
It's not in the charter.
Well, it says that the council can reduce the budget, it just can't increase it, but it doesn't necessarily say the council can.
There's nothing in the charter that says that it has to go back to the BDA, which is something in charter form that is my number one priority, is that the budget process be modified so that there is a loop, closing loop, that if this is an unacceptable budget, but you can't just say, well, this is an unacceptable budget, and then move ahead with it. There has to be some action that comes about after that, which says, okay, we need to rework this, which is what most, it's typical in like. in-
But I guess the question is, who's the we in that case? Is the we the council? Because the
Sorry?
council's the one that's rejecting it. So the question is, who is the we in that scenario? Because if the council's rejecting it and the council has the authority to reduce the budget, is it the council that goes
No,
through it with the council?
well, I think we didn't even have enough time to go through line by line and to do that. I think that's a good point,
Yeah,
but I would.
and I don't know the answer to that.
No, I don't.
Like I said, I've never done it.
It would be good to see more council engagement in attending the BEA meetings. But I think there has to be something where the BEA has another look. And meets with the department again and tries to come up, because the work is so detailed. That I think we practical terms for the council to really drive that. But there are a number of things in that process that I think it shouldn't be the case that if it is unacceptable to a legislative body, it still moves forward even after a rejection. There should be something that requires amendment to it to get through negotiation, to get to the point where the council will approve.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's why they have that window of time in the charter, but if,
Yeah.
if the council does not
If
choose
you
to,
still walk at that, yes, exactly.
then there's really nothing,
No, this is actually.
any of us.
Right, but there's also nothing written in there, which I would like to see, that says the BEA has to have another book, and that this is a negotiation process. And there isn't some date. It's kind of like the Albany budget gets delayed every single year while they negotiate and negotiate to get to a point where it will pass. That's where we should be going, is what do we need to do to get a budget that the council will pass,
Mhm.
which is not how it's written.
Well, because it's from 1875, I mean, you had like three guys sitting in a room and they still gave us 20 days to figure it out, but what do you need for? It's changed a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on your agenda?
No, I have nothing else.
I have something that will be bring up. I see we had an email from Hudson Mom.
Oh, yes.
Did you take care, were they able to get any? They were asking for a request for some,
Oh, this was from, it was from the,
yeah, you said that you were, let you know at the next.
they applied for money from the grant process, which is.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, that's thank you,
Yes.
yes, okay, so, yes, I apologize, yes, we are to discuss that at this meeting.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, that's on the agenda for today, yes.
Because I was just my question was, I see that the cap is, max is 5,000. How much did they receive so far?
Nothing.
Up. So we
They
got,
didn't, I don't know whether they couldn't, in the first application, they still haven't gotten the thing approved. So they've missed the deadline this year for any funding for that event. The window is closed, the funds have been allocated, and so that's it.
so,
They can try again next year.
Yeah, we tried that, I'm sure, we won't find us at this point.
because the applicant, because I mean, of course, they missed the deadline. But there is a process that they can go if they want to, right, to get
Next year,
For next year.
for next year.
Yeah.
But the event is happening next month, right?
it's happening,
August 29th or something like
yeah,
that.
a couple of years.
I thought it happened already. I thought it was-
No, I moved to August.
Oh, fine. Okay, there we go.
Anything else on your agenda?
No, that was it. Thank you very much, Walter, for
Yeah,
that.
and actually, that also came up by HDC, after the apply. Because they applied to HDC also. And, the decision was that, for now, for this year, we'll come up with, provide funding, they can apply it next year, but like a couple of weeks out from the event, what exactly is this funding?
Okay, we have one question and the timer will go for 20 minutes, start.
Thank you, Mr. Polo. So the budget process, I attended those meetings in November 6th. I saw Tom DiPietro, I saw Heather Campbell, and I saw Camille Johnson have executive session. We exited the room, they voted, we came back, and they decided to end the process. That was November 6th. I reviewed the video. So In terms of like, if you had sent it back last year, I do not know that the BEA would have whittled down and actually gotten the revenues, in line with the expenses. So you might want to consider in any charter, the revisions, like a budget, a balanced budget. I don't know. I don't know if that's required, but you may want to put that in there. But I think just reading between the lines and from, I went to all but two of the BEA meetings last year. I look forward to attending them. They're quite enlightening and Heather does a really good job, with the numbers. So my point here is, the point there is, I think there was like a notion that they would be able to raise $500,000. And I think behind the scenes, that was like a motivating idea. And they did do the request for a proposal last year, and they had taken some bids and moved on in terms of the Dunn warehouse. And I think that was the thinking, but without getting into people's heads, you can't really know that. Again, I'm thinking of budget balance, aspect in the code, the charter, you could consider, but I do not think that the BEA last year, if it had went back to them, that they would have found more money or would have cut more expenses. That's it, Boyd Alden Kelly, signing off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Any other comments?
No.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion. Second. We want to give a